Hello? Hello? Dang, pranksters. Hey, welcome to Wake Up Call, Part 2. This is Trevor 7, and this one's going to be about meditation, the chakras, and Kundalini energy. And I've been putting this video off for a long time. I've had a lot of people ask about these three things, and the reason being is I don't like to regurgitate stuff I learned elsewhere. You know, I just try to stick with original content and give my little piece of the puzzle to whoever wants it, and try not to just, repeat stuff that's available elsewhere. But unfortunately, when it comes to these three topics, I am going to have to kind of rely on some stuff that I've learned elsewhere. But I'm going to try to share my own unique take on these things and some things that I have learned from personal experience that might help you get your ball rolling in terms of meditation in particular. So I guess we'll just start with the basics. What is meditation? It's basically the emptying of the mind of thoughts, or the concentration of thoughts on one single thing. And we do this to, aid in mental and emotional and physical and spiritual development. Or we can use meditation for contemplation or healing, or just specifically just for relaxation purposes. And I'm not going to get into a lot of the different details about meditation, but I will recommend a couple channels. One in particular, it's kind of has to do more with the theology and stuff. A lot of the Bible is about meditation and Kundalini energy and the single eye. And for example, the book of Revelations is basically, well, on one level, there's many levels of understanding the Bible, but the book of Revelations, basically, instead of opening the 7 seals, we're opening the 7 chakras. But anyway, what I was going to say is I recommend Bill Donahue right here on YouTube. He's got a lot of good stuff, and he's kind of old school stuff. And when I recommend a channel, I don't say that I agree with every single thing that someone on that channel says, but he has a lot of good information that'll help you kind of understand the meanings and theology behind meditation. And another great one is, of course, Mr. Astrology, and you want to check out that channel. That's Santos Bonacci, and he is a wealth of information about synchronism and things that are really going to explode here in the near future, things that we need to know. And as far as learning how to meditate, I would recommend the Edgar Cayce organization, and they've got a website. I'll pop the link down there below in the description. And they've got several different forms of meditation that give very basic instructions on that'll help you get started. And I'll throw some other links down there for some good videos here on YouTube. And Yogananda Self-Realization Fellowship is another good place to pick up some good meditation tips. And in regard to the chakras, I'm kind of a hillbilly, so sometimes I say chakras and sometimes I say chakras. Depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But I'm going to pop a couple links down here below that pertain particularly to the chakras, and a book that I recommend. And you can check those out. These are hour-long videos, and I think there's 3 of them or something. It's really too much for me to try to tackle, and I'm trying to keep this short and sweet, so I'm not going to get into too much detail about that in particular. So I'm just going to basically follow the same format we did last time with the who, what, where, when, how, and why type thing. So let's get started. Who? Who should meditate? Well, in my opinion, everyone who is old enough to say meditation should be meditating. You don't have to be a real meditation guru at the age of 5 or anything like that, but we could start slow and simple and at any age and work our way up to some really deep meditations. And there's no one who cannot benefit from meditation, so that's an easy one. Everyone. What? Well, we kind of already described what meditation is, but we're going to have to determine what kind of meditation do we need. It depends on what you're trying to transform or manifest in your life. So you might use affirmations, or you might use visualizations, you might chant mantras or prayer, or you can use meditation to achieve all kinds of memories from past lives, or out-of-body experience, or remote viewing. What kind of meditation is just, it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. But in regard to psychokinesis, the meditation that seems to be the most beneficial is transcendental meditation. And by transcendental, I just mean beyond the 5 senses and our normal understanding. We have to get below or above, however you want to look at it. I feel like I'm sinking down in when I meditate, but my consciousness is rising up and beyond. So it's really a matter of perspective, I guess. But we have to get down into a deep meditation to where, our thoughts and feelings and emotions and all that stuff are not in the picture, so we can tap into things that are beyond our knowing and understanding. Transcendental meditation is what we want. Where to meditate? Now, this seems to be one of the harder things. I didn't realize that until I got to talking to people, but we live in a very busy, noisy world these days. Now, I'm blessed with solitude and silence, so it wasn't a big deal for me to find a space to meditate. But for a lot of people it is. And at first, especially for transcendental meditation, we don't want to use binary beats and music or strong smells or anything that's going to keep us into the mundane. For transcendental meditation, we need darkness and silence. So I would recommend, unless you are blessed with a place where you can get away and be quiet and uninterrupted, I would recommend that you lock yourself in a room and put on some earmuffs. And the kind of earmuffs you use to block out loud noises like shooting guns or whatever, that kind of earmuff. And just take advantage of whatever space you can manage to find. Maybe it's on your roof or up in a tree, or the bathroom at night or whatever. But you do need to find a nice, safe, secure, quiet place that you can meditate. Now, preferably we would have a sacred place, a place dedicated just specifically for our meditation time. But we're not all blessed with that. So at the bare minimum, we need some place that's safe, comfortable, and quiet. That's the basic requirements. Okay, so who, what, when? Sorry, I'm just kind of free-flowing in here. I'm trying to do this all in just one smooth take while I'm in the spirit. So when do we meditate? Well, as often as possible. Like I say, with everything, baby steps. Start small. Maybe you can only meditate for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and work your way up to 10. But ideally, I would try to get in an hour. I like 2 30-minute sessions. I don't always get that, but one good time to meditate is when you first wake up in the morning and kind of do a little meditation before you get out of bed, kind of plan how you want your day to go, get those intentions out there and moving so the universe can make it happen for you. That's a good time to kind of do a reality creation meditation. But it basically just boils down to when time allows. Whenever you're not busy, you have time, or make time. So set up a regimen and try to stick to it, but don't make it seem like work. After you get to meditating, you'll want to do it. And to tell you the truth, when you're doing transcendental meditation, you can kind of get into a trance and meditate for a good 20 or 30 minutes before you actually hit true deep meditation. And the true deep meditation may only last a couple minutes. So you're really only achieving 2 minutes of meditation out of a 30-minute session. Sometimes you can get down there quick and stay, and you kind of lose track of time. And while we're talking about time, it's nice to have a pleasant way to end your meditation. I used to set this stupid alarm that was annoying, and then I bought a Zen alarm clock. And what a pleasant way to start your day and end your meditation with a little ting. So whenever you can. And that leads us to why. Well, like I said, there are many reasons to meditate, but basically why we meditate is to still our mind. Our mind is actually very, very busy when we're asleep, so that's not a good rest time for our mind. So actually, during meditation is the only time your mind is ever at ease, ever at rest. And there are a lot of studies, I'm sure a lot of you probably already seen them, that prove, that just a few minutes of meditation lowers blood pressure, relieves stress, reduces your chance of a heart attack, heals the body, creates more white blood cells, and on a spiritual level it can purge you of bad karma and emotions, and it helps, in particular for psychokinesis, it balances our left and right brain, which seems to be a prerequisite for psychokinesis. And there are a lot of studies also in regard to the brain that it shows that different portions, dormant portions of your brain, become active during meditation. So I think that has a big part of why meditation and psychokinesis are kind of go hand in hand. And helps you find find your core. When they say to get centered, grounded, that's your core, that still, quiet, peaceful place that's deep within you. And I know this, using these terms are not going to be very popular with some people, but the main reason that you meditate is to find the God within you, to connect with God. So that's why we meditate. And how? This is the one I've been kind of dreading. And like I said, I'm going to provide links to some places that'll help you discover how to meditate, because everyone is different, and I'm so against this cookie cutter type indoctrination system that we have in our schools where one curriculum fits all. Meditation, it's really personal, and there's no wrong way to meditate, guys, so don't get too hung up on the how part of it. But basically what we have to accomplish for transcendental meditation is we have to get into a physical zone of comfort to where we can totally ignore our body. So, and everyone tells you, oh, keep your back straight when you meditate. But, our back isn't really even straight. So what we're basically doing is balancing our spine. Just go look at some pictures of skeletons and see how the spine is shaped. And imagine putting your hand at the base of that spine and about what position you'd have to have your spine leveled. So it's more about balance. And you don't have to sit, half lotus or full lotus, cross-legged and all that stuff. You can actually, some of my best meditations have been seated in a chair, like an oversized recliner, not reclined, but upright, balanced. And, you can meditate against a wall or a tree. It doesn't hurt to have some support back there, so you can forget about, trying to, the physical act of trying to hold yourself up straight. So getting comfortable while keeping your spine in a vertical position. And we basically want to get to a point to where we're just empty and void. And it's best to go in with no expectations either for transcendental meditation. Don't go trying to achieve anything. What we're basically going to do is go through the basic levels of meditation. And I'll get into this a little deeper later, but it's compared to, they call it, like Earth is the first stage of meditation, or what you might call mundane. And this refers to the physical part of, sight, sound, all that stuff. And then water is the next stage, and that's truth. And then air is a point of no thought. And then fire is the spiritual level of meditation, and that's where you receive enlightenment. And ultimately you reach the ether part, which is the deep, deep, deep meditation. And that's where you get in contact with the universal consciousness, or Akashic records, or whatever words you use. And what I'm going to do is just basically give you some tips that'll help you achieve what we're trying to do. Trying to get in a balanced, physically numb, mentally empty state. And here's some simple tips that no one teaches you. No one told me this when I started meditating. These are some things that I've found that help you meditate. And stretching. And the reason the stretching prior to meditation is important is that we want no physical fatigue. If there's any strain, pain, or anything that's bothering you, sensation that you can feel while you're meditating, it's going to keep you attached to the mundane. You aren't even going to get past the first level. So you need to be comfortable. And part of being comfortable is stretching. You don't even realize you have tension and stress till somebody starts rubbing your shoulder, or you reach some weird position you've never reached. Yeah, there's strain there. So do some stretching. And this sounds silly, but blow your nose. It's important to have we're going to breathe through your nose the whole time you're meditating. For transcendental meditation, anyways. There's some meditations where you breathe in your nose and blow out your mouth and whatnot. But for transcendental meditation, we're going to be breathing solely through our nose. So blow your nose and make sure you have a good, if there's any snorting or whistling sound, or, it's clogged or whatever, you're not going to be able to get into a good steady breathing, which is needed. You might bathe or take a shower as if you're about to meet someone important, which you are, yourself, your higher self, or the God within you. Eliminate distractions, of course. Like I said, we don't want any loud noises or strong smells, or not too hot, not too cold, no air blowing on you, and anything like that. Just eliminate as many distractions as possible. And in regard to how to physically meditate, I would recommend that you observe your sleep. tonight when you lay down to go to sleep, notice how your body just naturally knows how to do it. Notice where your tongue goes. Notice how you position your body in such a way so, like if you sleep on your side, how you're balancing your body up onto its side. That's the same, sort of technique you use to meditate. You get yourself balanced in a position where you don't have to hold yourself up. Of course, we want to be in a vertical position when we meditate. But observe your sleep and watch how your breath goes from big to medium to small to almost non-existent. Don't observe it too closely because you'll alter the way it reacts. But just notice how your body already knows how to shut down. So just use that sleep mode to teach your body how to get into deep meditation. And for transcendental meditations, I recommend you meditate with open hands, and maybe even hands facing upwards. Lay them on your lap to where it's comfortable, but don't clasp your hands together, and don't pinch your thumb and fingers together or anything like that. That's a closed loop when you pinch your fingers together, and we don't want a closed loop for transcendental meditation. We want an open field, so to speak. And you also want to avoid grounding to earth energy when you're doing transcendental meditation, which is, just don't have skin to non-conductive soil or surface when you're doing transcendental meditation. And these are just a few little things that I found out that help speed the process. Okay, and we can't really discuss transcendental Kundalini meditation without mentioning the chakras. But as I said before, I don't consider myself an expert on meditation or chakras, and I've provided some links that I'll get into more detail. But just as we prepared our body for meditation, we can prepare our chakras for meditation. And we'll start at the bottom with the root. And I'm just going to use the Western names because I'm a big fan of simplicity. So the root chakra thrives on grounding. And grounding is basically just, bare skin on non-conductive soil. So you can take your shoes off, stand in the dirt for a few minutes, and get your root chakra prepared for a good meditation. And the pelvic chakra, this has to deal with sensations. So just things that are, have to do with feeling and emotions. Things like get or give a massage, or confront your emotions, or even the sensations of eating food, things like that. That will appeal to your second chakra, your pelvic. And then the solar plexus, and that's for like manifesting and working and doing. So do something that's, some form of physical exercise, or exert yourself somehow. Do something physical, get something accomplished. That'll be good for your solar plexus. And the heart chakra, which is our middle chakra, and probably is the most important chakra. And that can be opened up simply by connecting with loved ones. Hug someone, kiss someone, or animals. Maybe it's plants or nature, or anything that you love. That really gets your heart chakra fired up. Express your love, give and receive love. So that'll get your heart chakra ready. And the throat chakra, breathe. Give reverence to your breath. Your breath is sacred. Pay attention to it. Listen to it. Chant, sing, speak, whistle, hum. Let that. Just getting those vibrations will open your throat chakra up. And the brow. Now, a lot of times the brow chakra is considered the third eye, which I believe there's two different things. But for the brow chakra, it has to do with your belief system. So basically what you have to do is drop your beliefs. Try to become neutral and, be unbiased. Be the unbiased observer. The crown chakra. Now, this is our connection to divinity, and this is the one that really we need open for transcendental meditation. And it thrives on meditation, prayer, and deep, deep sleep, and cleanliness. That there's a saying, cleanliness is next to godliness. Well, the crown chakra won't even open up and work properly. Your crown chakra is actually above your head, but you can tell when your crown chakra is open. And it won't open if you're highly toxic. So the crown chakra thrives on detoxing and cleansing, as well as meditation and deep sleep. So those are some things you can do in preparation for meditation in regard to your chakras. Oh wow, already up to 20 minutes. Okay, I wanted to mention Kundalini a little bit, but I don't want to talk too much about it because, like I said, you want to go into this with no expectations. And if I tell you exactly what I experience and you expect to feel the same thing and don't, then you might throw you off track. But in essence, basically, after we get through these, there's like 9 stages of meditation. And number 1 is the mundane, and then 2 is your feelings, and 3 your beliefs, 4 your opinions, and 5, that's kind of where you become this silent observer. And at this point, the only thing that you really can't observe, if you're truly thoughtless and emotionless and physically numb, is the autonomic part of your body, which is kind of like the computer stage, and you just observe that program running in the background and just remain still and patient, and then you'll reach the spirit level, the 7th level, where you meet your spirit. And that's a very, very beneficial and beautiful part of meditation, when you become your spirit, when you experience omnipresence and immortality and the God part of you. And while you're in that stage, you can access an even deeper level, which is soul memory. You can remember things, not necessarily from this lifetime, but just things that because you've discovered who you are. You're a part of God. That's who you are. There's a God portion inside of us. And once you get into that, it's like an invitation to the Kundalini energy. And the reason I compare Kundalini energy to God's energy is that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a very overwhelmingly omnipresent, all-knowing type of connection to everything. But once it starts rising, I'll try to describe briefly what I experience, and it's different for everyone. And I hear some people, they have a very miraculous Kundalini awakening, just pow, and all these things start happening. For me, it was more of a gradual thing. Like I experienced the energy for a few moments the first time, and then a few meditations later, then they became longer and more overwhelming. But in essence, what I felt was a warmth moving up from my bottom of my spine. And it's hard to describe in words, but it was kind of an electrical, like an energy that I've never really felt, moving up my spine. And when it got to the heart chakra, it kind of seemed to linger in the middle of my body, where my lower portion of my spine was warm, almost hot. And then after it lingered at the heart for a while, the energy kind of moved on up into the throat and then up to my head. And when it reached the center of my head, there was I heard a ting, as a ringing in my ears that started as soon as the energy reached the top of my head. And then my head became warm, just like my spine was. My whole body was now warm and sort of electrified. And I felt a presence. I know now that the presence is me, but a presence that I was in the presence of God. And it was it was intimidating, but it wasn't like a judgment or anything to be fearful of, but it was a little overwhelming. And what Kundalini energy does is it opens and cleans out those chakras. That's really the only way to clean your chakras, is to awaken this Kundalini energy. And it'll bring out old past memories and things that you need to confront. It'll show you all the ugly. And like I said, not in a judging way, but just from a different point of view. You've never really known who you were until you can observe yourself from this spirit type of perspective. Kind of makes you confront any emotions that you had tucked away, things that you didn't really fully deal with. Like for me, it was the death of my parents. Kind of went through some pain there, and the loss of my, I dedicated 40 years of my life to a savior that's actually a part of me, and was totally confused and misled spiritually. I felt a lot of regret from all that wasted time. And there's just a lot of, your addictions, if you're whatever it is, if you're overweight, you're underweight, malnourished, whatever it is, it's going to bring these things to your attention, and it's going to change your perspective on yourself as well as everyone else, and make you want to say things like namaste. You know, to cut to the chase and say, hey, I recognize that there's a portion of God in you, and I respect that and honor that. Okay, well, I've already exceeded my 20 minutes here, but hope that kind of helps demystify meditation and Kundalini energy for some of you. Like I said, there's some links and stuff down below that'll go into more detail, but it basically just comes down to you. You know, learning how to meditate is something, it's an inside job. It's just something you have to practice and do. And I know it seems pointless to some people, especially at first, but it is very beneficial if you want to learn how to do psychokinesis and discover the real you and awaken your abilities. So, all right. Hope this helped. Appreciate you all watching. This is Trevor 7. Good day. God bless. And namaste.